Hello everybody, welcome back to 10 Minute Reviews. Jason here bringing you today's video. As always guys, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. We've got a ton of content that we come out with. We're trying to review as many books as possible. Also, don't forget to check the links down below for links to today's book and any other applicable links. This is our Discord channel and anything else we can think of. Please check it out through the links. One of our fans asked us to set ourselves up with the Amazon affiliates so we could use the traffic through those links. Otherwise, once again, thank you everybody for joining us, and I'm going to go ahead and get right into today's video. So for today's video, I want to talk about Imperial Hijacker by Andrew Moriarty. I've talked about him a bunch of times. He's rapidly become one of my favorite authors anywhere. It's amazing he's still an indie author. I cannot believe he hasn't been picked up by somebody yet. Before I go into it real fast, thank you very much to my patrons. All of you guys, please email me on the patron site. I want to start a little like a monthly book club kind of thing. So everyone email me on the site. I want to discuss it a little bit before we start picking books, okay? So back to it. So Andrew Moriarty, he's got two series that are kind of interrelated. He's got The Adventures of a Jump Space Accountant, which is an interesting series. Started out a lot stronger. The last book was really good. The one before it, I was kind of iffy on, but love that series. Really like the character, and I like the cerebral character that he's built with that one. And then we have the Imperial series, I suppose, which is within the same universe, but from the way it's described and from the way it's presented itself, it's actually more of a prequel, because the Jump Space Accountant series is occurring in a distant star system like almost all of them, but it's been cut off. It's been abandoned by the Empire for quite some time, almost a couple of generations, and then they're barely surviving. And they're trying to pick up the pieces and starting to get back out further into the universe or into the galaxy. Whereas the Imperial series is more occurring around the twilight of the Empire. In the Jump Space Accountant series, we don't know why they were abandoned. We don't know what happened with the Empire, why the Emperor just abandoned them, why the military abandoned, why everybody abandoned them, why they were cut off. And as they're exploring, they find more systems that experience the same thing. The Empire just stopped, just poof, vanished. And in the Imperial series, we're at the tail end. The Emperor is still somebody that's talked about a lot. He's still a fixture in the background. Really, it's the Emperor's wife that kind of plays more of a role. But the Imperial series deals with a former Duke, Dirk, and his misfit crew. I've said it many times. The Imperial series, I highly recommend to people that are fans of Omega Force, because the dynamics between the characters is an absolute riot. They don't like each other, and yet they do like each other. They don't trust each other, and yet they're forced to trust each other. They constantly threatening to kill each other, and they have each other's backs. It's interesting. It's very interesting dynamic, and quite the eclectic and interesting group of characters. So this time around, we're picking up right where the last book left off at, with Scruggs and Lee having not disappeared, but in the wake of battling a tank and a civil war and a whole bunch of other things that honestly they really should not have been involved in. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to me that they continued on with this. But in the wake of that, we had some injuries, we had some near deaths, we had this Imperial noble that has been chasing Dirk throughout these systems, and yet even he seems to possibly be not rebellious, but it's almost like his subordinates are telling him in a way that they back him to be rebellious at some point. So we've got all of this, and Lee takes a badly injured Scruggs and takes her to the Imperials, and because they're the only ones at that time that have the technology to heal her. And Lee has some pretty strong contacts, being basically one of the Empress's own, like almost an extension of hers, one of her agents. So she has a lot of pull. And that's kind of where we left off in the last book. And this time around, we have Dirk again. Now, the thing about this group is, as much as they dislike each other, in some ways, some of them really like each other, others don't really trust each other, and it's really weird. And I'm going to get into the fact that the dog absolutely hates Dirk. but they're chasing after him. They want to get their crew members back. They're going to get their crew members back. It's kind of what they do. They're beginning to gel, even as much as they dislike and distrust each other. They are beginning to gel as an actual crew and beginning to really acknowledge each other's strengths and weaknesses. They know when to take charge, when a different person should be in charge, and are able to make decisions. So they don't want to lose any members of their crew. So they are chasing after their missing crew members who are being held with this noble that is chasing Dirk. So eventually things come to a head, things come together, and both of these disparate groups actually do end up meeting. And within this meeting, Dirk finds out a couple of things. First off, he finds out a little bit more about Lee, a lot more about Lee. We also learn a lot more about this Imperial that has been chasing Dirk. For instance, he is also a priest, an ordained priest, and we already know he's a high-ranking noble. But apparently he's also an ordained priest, and the religion is really, really big within this empire as well. So we're not quite like Roman Empire level where religion is kind of the tops, or the Holy Roman Empire, where even these other kingdoms and nobilities are really kind of at the beck and call of religion. It's not that strong, but it's there. It's there, and yet somehow this noble is also a priest. It's pretty interesting. So we get to this big meeting between Dirk and his pursuers and everybody else, and we start getting a few more explanations of why some people are being wanted. For instance, we find out that Scruggs is actually basically the heir to one of the largest shipbuilding empires in the Empire. I know that's kind of a W some empire there, but one of the largest shipbuilding businesses within the empire. So she is the heir to an extremely wealthy, extremely powerful family, faction, clan, whatever you want to call them. But she wants nothing to do with it. She, again, wants adventure. Adventure awaits, as they continuously say within this book. And again, like every other book, this book has me cracking up every couple of pages. My wife looks at me like I'm an idiot because I'm reading and I just start laughing, and then I end up having to read her a line or two from the book. Absolutely hilarious book. But we're starting to really learn more about this empire as a whole, and then through some strange miracle, Dirk apparently has been pardoned, even though he escaped out of jail the very beginning of the series and has been on the run and has multiple warrants and such. But apparently there are no more Imperial warrants out for him. And now he's being given missions from the Empire that they now have to decide whether they actually want to take it or not. Because again, this group, his little disparate group, his crew, they're pretty interesting. They almost all have some form of warrant out for them, be it from the Empire, from the Confederacy, from individual planets. They are all wanted as criminals by someone, somewhere. And yet there all seem to be reasons for them being criminals for the most part. We are definitely starting to get some hints that some of the other crew members might even be spies. It's interesting. It's interesting, and it's really starting to flesh out more and more and more and more. I thought the last book was the weakest, and I still really enjoyed it. Again, the dialogue is great. But the last book was the weakest, but this one really gains a lot of strength. This was absolutely fantastic. I loved this book. Love this series, guys. I cannot recommend it strongly enough. So, everybody, check out Andrew Moriarty. And if you haven't read the series yet, go back and read the very beginning, book 1. Otherwise, Imperial Hijacker. Awesome book. It's a great book. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye now.